Hi, I'm Dalton Hill, and this is for iteration 4. I will be changing my code by refactoring it. I will be refactoring the move unit function because it currently does not have named Boolean expressions. They're currently just written as such. So I'm going to be refactoring this by moving these different conditional statements to Boolean variables that can describe what the actual conditional is. So one of the first ones here um, would be to change this player in turn value um, to be its own variable. So that could be done by writing Boolean for the type of variable. And I'm going to name this one not player's turn. And then I'll copy the code that's in the conditional, place it there, and then now wherever I would have used that conditional, I'm going to replace it with the variable name that I chose, the Boolean variable. So I change this first, and then I will run the tests that already proved to be functional that will test um, the move unit function against other movements, which will test if this returns back true or false, and the test should succeed because I didn't actually change anything. I just moved the code around um, so that this Boolean name would be clearer to understand what was going on here. So as you see, these tests went through and passed correctly. Um, Now I think the test should be somewhere right here. Yeah, it should be right here. Should not allow the blue to move from here to here. Um, and so then in this actual code again, I'll make another Boolean variable. This time I'm going to test if the to tile is mountains, because if it is, then the tile or the unit shouldn't be able to be moved there. So I'm going to write the code for that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for to tile is, and this time oceans, for the same reasoning. Units can't move to where oceans are. So then I'm going to move that there. And then I will write here to tile is mountains or to tile is oceans. If either one of those is true, I return false. And this returning false after each one of these different conditionals is the bailout fast uh, principle. So this was already implemented, but now that these Boolean variables are named, it's clearer to the readability of this, of what actually is going on here. Um, so now this conditional, the if move count equals 0, um, this one I'm going to leave because it's pretty simple that if the move count is 0, that means that the unit can't move anywhere. So that's fine. Um, this if the this is testing for if the move count is actually smaller than how far you want to move. Um, this one should be fine. Um, this one though, I am going to write a Boolean variable, and I'm going to name it to unit is null to test for if the position that I'm moving to is a null space. Now here I'm testing for the inverse of that, but what I'm going to do is because I use the same test down here, I'm going to copy that one to test if the the to position is a null unit. And then I'll copy the variable again, place it in the conditional, and then here, whenever I'm using it, I'm going to just say not that. And then up here, I need another variable. This one may be a little bit long, but it's because it needs to be descriptive. So I'm going to say if the owner at the current position, at the from location and the to location, if they're different, then the unit's allowed to move. So I'm going to name the variable to and from units have different owners. And this actually needs to be one space. And then I'll copy this code and I'll put it there. And this needs to actually be the double equals because it's a conditional. So I will do that. And then I'll copy this variable name, full variable name, and I'll place it there. And then that should have now, every conditional now has some sort of Boolean name, aside from these two, that would describe what happens. So then if I run the same test again for alpha sieve, you can see then that one test failed. What test was that? Three two to 3-3 is what failed. Hmm. So this is testing for a red, not allow red to move blue unit here. So that means that's something to do with this, the player in turn. So if these are not equal to each other, then that would happen. So what I'm going to change here is I think that this variable is actually calculating an error because the unit or the space where a unit is moving has to be null for that Boolean function to run. So I'm going to make a quick little change here to say that if the space is null, then this variable is defined. And above this, I have to define the variable then. And I'll default it to be false. And then I'll change this to just be the variable name. And this should come back then true. And all the tests should succeed. Now two fail. We get a false when there should be a true. And that's due to that function. So here I was able to figure out what the problem was. Um, this null test to test if a unit is not at the 2 position needs to come back true um, in order for this other half of this function or this conditional to not ever be tested. So if the 2 position is not null, then there is a unit there, and the getOwner function will actually be able to run without error. So this needs to be run in tandem with each other. So I replace it with this Boolean variable, which will now allow AlphaSieve to run properly this time, and all the tests successfully pass like it did. Thank you.